By the mid-20th century, 5 crime families controlled New York City. They influenced unions, construction, the docks, nightclubs, casinos. They ordered murders, moved millions in cash, and operated with military discipline. But they didn't begin as kings of New York. They arrived as immigrants, and they built an empire out of opportunity. The Mafia's roots trace back to 19th century Sicily. There, weak government created space for private protection groups. These groups enforced contracts, collected payments, and punished betrayal. The code was simple: loyalty, silence, obedience, omerta. Between 1880 and 1920, over 4 million Italians immigrated to America. Many settled in New York. Among them were criminals who understood one thing: where authority is weak, power can be taken. By the early 1900s, Italian gangs operated in Manhattan and Brooklyn. But they weren't unified. They fought constantly, and that instability almost destroyed them. In 1920, the U.S. banned alcohol. Demand didn't disappear. It exploded. Bootlegging became a billion-dollar underground industry. In Chicago, Al Capone built a liquor empire. In New York, rising figures like Charles Lucky Luciano saw something bigger: organization. Bootlegging wasn't about violence. It was about logistics, importing from Canada, distribution networks, bribes to police, controlled territories. But before organization could happen, there was war. From 1930 to 1931, New York's Italian gangs went to war. On one side, Joe, the boss Masseria. On the other, Salvatore Maranzano. Dozens were murdered. The streets became unstable. Business suffered. Then Lucky Luciano made a move. First, he helped eliminate Masseria. Months later, he had Maranzano killed. With both old leaders gone, Luciano reshaped the American Mafia forever. Luciano understood something revolutionary: war hurts profits. So in 1931, he divided New York into 5 structured families, each with defined territory and leadership. The 5 families: the Genovese family, originally Luciano's own family, later led by Vito Genovese and then Vincent the Chin Gigante. The Gambino family, eventually led by Carlo Gambino, later made infamous by John Gotti. The Lucchese family, run by figures like Tommy Lucchese and later Anthony Gaspare Picasso. The Colombo family, originally the Profaci family, later led by Joseph Colombo. The Bonanno family, led by Joseph Bonanno, who tried to seize full control in the 1960s. Luciano also created the Commission, a governing board. No more boss of bosses. Now, decisions required structure. The Mafia became corporate. Each family followed the same hierarchy: boss, ultimate authority; underboss, second in command; consigliere, trusted advisor; capos, captains running crews; soldiers, made members; associates, outsiders working with them. To become made, you had to be Italian. You swore loyalty for life. Betrayal meant death. This structure reduced chaos and maximized profit. Their income streams were diverse: illegal gambling rings, loan sharking at brutal interest rates; extortion, businesses paid for protection; labor racketeering, controlling unions; construction kickbacks, dock and trucking monopolies. By controlling unions, they could shut down projects, manipulate contracts, demand payoffs. The Gambino family dominated the waterfront. The Genovese family infiltrated construction. The Lucchese family controlled garment industries and trucking. The Colombo family held influence in labor unions. The Bonanno family extended into Arizona and Canada. Some families banned drug trafficking, others quietly profited from it. At their height, the American Mafia generated billions annually, not as street thugs, but as organized businessmen of crime. Money buys silence. Police were bribed, politicians pressured, judges influenced. In neighborhoods like Little Italy, mob bosses were seen as community protectors. They offered loans, settled disputes, provided jobs. But that protection came at a cost. The Code of Omertà kept witnesses silent. For decades, high-ranking bosses avoided prison, until one law changed everything. In 1970, the U.S. passed the RICO Act, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. RICO allowed prosecutors to charge entire criminal organizations. Bosses could now be convicted for crimes committed by subordinates. In 1985, the commission trial targeted leaders of the five families. Convictions followed. Prison sentences stacked up. Informants flipped. Figures like John Gotti briefly revived media attention. But the era of untouchable mafia dominance was ending. The five families may be shadows of their former power. But the system they built? The blueprint remains. This is Shadow Ledger, exploring crime, corruption, and the systems behind power. Because the real story is always in the ledger.